What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's gonna be another glimpse at prison, another prison story. Once again, all I can do is keep it real. So this one happened around 2004 or 2005. Sea facility in New Folsom. Now, for those of you that have been around, you've heard about it. For those of you that haven't, let me let you in on it. In New Folsom, B facility was always considered, since it opened, B facility was considered the gangster yard. A facility was, I think, the first full-blown PC yard in California. It wasn't even called that. It was a place where a lot of the dudes that were there really were former legends that had found themselves in bad standing or whatever, been hit, whatever it was. That's who was over there, as well as dudes that got hit on B facility. They would send them over there and they would transfer them, I don't know where after that, but and then C facility had a curfew. Somebody asked me before, what is a curfew? A curfew is a set limit of time that people were allowed, that Southerners were allowed to be on that facility. For C facility, it was 9 months, and people are like, 9 months? The fuck, that's a long time. The reason why is because there were no dropouts on the yard. There was trash there though, and people ask me when I say, what is a junkyard? A junkyard means there's trash there. Trash meaning dudes that are no good. And sometimes what would happen, or a lot of times, dudes would get hit on B facility and they'd send them to C facility, and that was a stronghold for the Northern Raza, C facility. And what these dudes would do is they would go over there, basically lick their nuts, not get off, and identify for the Northerners. Whenever a homie would come, a camarada would come, they would say, hey, you might want to hit that dude. Or dudes that they knew from the county jail or whatever, they would say, hey, that dude's with it, you might want to hit him. And the Northerners would try to do that. If the dude was caught slipping, they would hit him. If not, there would be a thing between them. So anyways, around 2000, the Northerners decided to file paperwork that they did not want to share the yard with Southerners and whites, only blacks and others, and natives, right? They filed paperwork. That paperwork led them to be taken off the yard, placed in their cells, and gave the Southerners more access and more action to take over the yard without even a war. That's when things changed. The curfew was lifted. Prior to that, the curfew was lifted. But that right there changed the game. I got down there in 2001. I've told many stories of what happened. There was somebody in place. They were doing a bad job. I didn't want to have anything to do with the leadership there. The dudes that came down with me, none of us wanted to have anything to do with leadership. We wanted to be able to stay in the corner, make some money, do our thing, let them have the headache, because that's all it was. Unfortunately, these dudes could not get it together. Myself and a handful of other dudes, 4 other dudes, wound up taking the yard over and becoming the leadership. Okay, so now fast forward to, I can't remember, it was 2004, 2005. We had already had an incident over a handball court with the blacks, which was handled without any bloodshed. We wound up taking over the handball court. And unfortunately, there were a lot of youngsters. There was 120 of us on the yard. There was a lot of youngsters there who had never been involved in warfare with the blacks, who wanted war with the blacks, who felt like we needed more real estate. And we did. We honestly did. However, the leadership, myself and three of us on the leadership felt it wasn't the time. There was a lot of stuff going on in other yards that was affecting the money flow to the legends. So I was constantly talking homies out of creating a situation for war with the blacks. And so one day, one of the people on the part of the leadership took it upon himself. And so the way it was is there was 3 drinking fountains on the yard, right? 2 of them in the black area, and 1 was on the track, close to in our area, but on the track, so it's neutral. And they had told me, hey, we're gonna move that drinking fountain. And I said, for what? They said, because the blacks have 2, we only have 1, and they're using ours, you know. And I said, yeah, but ours isn't really ours. Ours is everybody's because it's on the track. And he's like, yeah. The Vato's like, yeah, but I don't like that. We're gonna get our own, so they gotta go drink their shit and stop coming around. And I said, man, leave it alone, homie. That's just trying to start shit. You know, that's like, it's not worth it. Like, are you willing to have it stamped like we go to war over a drinking fountain because you decided to move it? Like, we can put it to a vote. We can put it on the table and we can vote on it, and majority rules is what we'll do. And he's like, never mind then, Holmes. Never mind. I'm like, all right. I'm yard crew. I'm on the yard every day, all day. One day I go in for the day. I don't remember what I had to take care of. And my camarada comes and he's like, hey, did you know about this? And I said, what? He goes, they're moving the drinking fountain. I said, who? And he told me. And I was like, fuck, man. So I tell him, hey, tell the who that let me out. I go out, and by then they had already moved it. And they moved it deep into our area, right? Actually moved it right by where the leadership used to post up, where we would have our discussions. There was a certain area on the yard, and it was right behind where that was, right? Sure enough, blacks went to go, like, at first they were confused, and they were like, oh, there it is. And they walked over there. And of course, they were quickly surrounded by a bunch of Southerners. Hey, Holmes, you can't drink from that drinking fountain. They were like, what? What do you mean? And they were like, it's not on the track no more. This is ours. You guys got 2 down there. Go drink from those. And I'm just standing there like, okay, the Vatos that move this, they're going to have to pay for this if something goes wrong. They walked off, but you could see their people watching. Like, everybody, the yard got quiet. Everybody was looking, like, started pointing like, hey, look, because they see the Southerners surrounding these 3 dudes. They walked off. Next thing you know, I have black shot callers getting at me because I had good communication with them. I've always said war and violence is a result of a breakdown in communication. That's all it is. So they get at me. They're like, hey, so what's up, man? This is what we're doing now? And I said, look, Holmes, I was honest with them. I said, look, this is not something that was agreed upon by everybody, but it is what it is now. It's not moving. It's staying there. Hopefully you don't bite, but if you decide that it's something worth beefing over, then, just know that wasn't my intention. They were like, all right, and they let it slide. But see, that right there is why there are so many people that say, oh, the Southerners are so racist and this and this and that. But this is why I wanted to tell this story. It was a glimpse into some are, just like some blacks are, some whites, some Asians, some everybody are racist. But to me, I was a businessman. That was a bad business call, bad business move. Luckily, it didn't amount to anything. But when the decision was made to move that drinking fountain, there were knives all around that fucking drinking fountain, waiting for anybody to decide, hey, nah, we want to do something on this drinking fountain. There was unnecessary tension on that yard. But myself and a handful of other dudes were like, we don't agree. We were overruled. Actually, there was never a vote, so we weren't overruled. But once something is initiated, we had to roll with it. Luckily, there were cooler heads on the black side who decided the same thing. Fuck that drinking fountain. We have to. They said the other two were hot, and it was like, oh, well, you know. It could have gotten ugly. Ugly for what? For pride and ego. Dudes that had never been at war. Some of them had never done a pegada yet, and they wanted to do them, and they wanted it to be against blacks. They were willing to drag every single one of us into a skirmish, into a war. Over what? Over a drinking fountain? Nah, it was over ego. And some racism. Not from everybody, but from those that decided to move it. Anyways, that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.